Okay, so we're gonna work today on using bands. So don't turn this off if you don't have them, just hear this one thing. Go on Amazon.com and order bands. You can get the cheaper ones that are the latex ones, or the barely more expensive fabric ones. The main difference for me, I find these bands that are latex easier to use for upper body based work. I really like them for starting bands. However, if you're more interested in hips, glutes, and thighs, totally splurge and get these fabric ones. Be careful, just be mindful rather. Read reviews, see the difference. These are not the same ones. I've got two sizes. Here's a good example, okay? When I ordered them, see the difference here? Some are bigger, some are smaller. So obviously, if you have bigger thighs, you'll want those bigger ones. If you have smaller thighs, you'll want the smaller ones. If you get the wrong of either one, that's okay. We can always make it work. My purpose today is to show you how to use your bands, how to modify if they're not working for you, okay? So, grab your band. Again, if you have a latex band, use it as if you were using the one I'm using. I'm going with the fabric, okay? So this black one is the really heavy one. I usually use light or medium. I don't usually use the heavy one, but I had it in front of me, so I'm using it now. Okay, first things first, when it comes to the band, you want to make sure that it fits around your thighs. If this isn't gonna work for you because your thighs are a little larger, try before giving up, moving it here, just below the knees. It's a little bit more hip work. So you may have to go down to a lighter version or a lighter set, but it still would work if you need to move it down. I also want you to think about if you have varicose veins. If you have varicose veins, you obviously don't want to put pressure on the veins. So if that's you, you're also going to want to move them down unless you have varicose veins down here. If you do, then you can do the same work with no band. Again, I'm just going through sideline work with the band, but you don't have to use a band for any of this, okay? Now, if you were in a Pilates class, you would have access to one of these balls, and you just might have one at home. If you do, you can place it one of two places when you lay on your side. You can put it under your ear like a pillow or under your ribs. See, under ribs here, it takes a little pressure off my hip. If I bring it down, it takes some pressure off my neck. However, just for the sake of doing a mat class with only bands, I'm not going to use it, okay? So I would come down onto my side. First things first, straighten your bottom arm, ear around bicep. Take this hand and touch the same side shoulder. So my arm is like a little triangle. It'll be a little pillow for my head, okay? I've figured out how I want to use my band, okay? From here, I'm going to start with my bottom knee bent, top leg straight. Think about this. This bottom knee, when it comes up higher, I am flexing my hip. I'm also putting body weight on it. If that hurts, try straightening and see if that feels better on your hip, okay? Otherwise, keep it bent here. Top leg today is gonna go straight. I'm gonna flex my foot. So we can move where you can see my foot, there we go. See how it's flexed versus pointed? So point, flex, point, flex. Okay, I'm gonna flex my foot and just lift straight up and down. Now let's talk about this one. When I am lowering and lifting my leg, I wanna try to stay parallel to my hip or higher. Okay, and that's just my variation today. As I try to make more videos here, we'll go through all of the different ways that you can use sideline work. There's a million, but today we're staying above the hip bone. Okay, this comes from an exercise that's classical mat. It's called side kick. Side kick. Good. Now hold it here. Here's everyone's least favorite. Okay, circles. Let's play with our foot position, okay? So I'm gonna point my toes forward, circle up and back, and just flex down, point, forward and up, on the way down, flex the heel. Sorry if my voice goes away. I had surgery. It's been 2 weeks, but after they put that tube down my throat, my voice hasn't quite come back yet. pull or flex down, point forward, up and around. Now let's reverse. Lift up and forward, flex your foot, come back, stop there, point, up and around, and bring it back. One more. I'm going to stop right here for a second. I'd say the most important thing here, there's two really important things in your sideline work. One, I don't want to dump my weight in the ribs. Okay, I want to pull a little bit off, but to do that, yes, I lift a tiny bit, but I'm really squeezing my butt cheek behind me, and it helps take the pressure off of my ribs. Number two, I need a neutral pelvis. So imagine the space between your hip bones. I want it to stay in the same spot. If you don't have a neutral pelvis, your hips roll forward or back. If you do have a neutral pelvis, they don't. They stay right here. So we'll just keep that foot neutral. Don't worry about your foot position. Now focus here on your pelvis and start circling again. Okay? Here's where it gets lost. On the way back, you might accidentally start coming back. You'll notice I'm hyperextending my spine a little bit. Okay? I have more of a dip here. Okay? I don't want that. I want to keep it right where it is. Okay? Get a few more. And then bring it forward. This is where sometimes my hip comes down, and I'm putting pressure now on my hip joint. I don't feel anything in my butt anymore. So when I'm straight, I feel in the outer thigh and glute, just where I want it. Okay? Now bend both knees and bring your knees forward. So let's talk about clam. Clam is very difficult. So clam goes into your outer thighs and glutes, just like the other sideline work. The difference is the position of your knees and hips. I am now in an actual hip flexion. That's two bent knees right in front of my hips. The angle of my camera may look like it's down, but I'm right in front of my hip bones. Okay? So I'm going to place my hand in front of my ribs as a reminder to open my shoulder, open the collarbone, and stay parallel to whatever's in front of me. Feet stay together. I'm going to tuck my top thigh open and just pulse up. Okay, so again, I feel it through my hips. I feel it in my outer glute, outer thigh. I feel my core engaged because I'm pulling my belly back. Think about pulling your belly button back to spine. A cue I like to use a lot. Imagine someone has a lighter. They've lit up the lighter, they're holding it in front of your belly button. You want to pull your belly button away from that flame, okay? I don't want to roll away from the flame. I just want to pull away from the flame, okay? Let's get a few more. Pause it up here, teeny tiny. Good. And bring it down. Let's try the other side. Let's see how stable you do or do not feel on this side, okay? All right, so I'm going to come down. Okay, again, whatever you need to do with this bottom foot, totally up to you. Or not bottom foot, bottom knee. You can bend it or keep it straight. We're just going to start with a lower lift. Good. So again, sometimes my camera angle, because I move it around sometimes, it may look like my hips are forward or back. They're parallel, but I'll always be sure to verbally place where the hips should be, just for that reason. I know sometimes you guys already know where it goes. I just want to make sure, since sometimes you can't tell over video. Good, so again, I'm just working on controlling the hip, squeezing the glute. And now we play with that foot position. So I'm going to point my toes, circle forward and up, flex to come down, point, flex, point forward, flex down, and again, point forward. Let's reverse, point up and forward, flex to come back, point up and forward, flex to come back. So we're going from this version here to a hold, relax the foot or choose a foot position, and now we're hip focused, circling again. So now I'm really focused on my pelvic position and the non-rolling of the hips, if that's a real word, non-rolling. All right. Reverse those circles. And bend it here, bringing the knees forward. Stack the feet. Come open and start to take it halfway down and up. Good. Working on clam. Working in hip flexion is actually really difficult. So that's why sometimes when you're laying on your hip for a long time, it starts to hurt. And again, that's when you normally would straighten the legs. Clam is meant to be bent knees. Everything else we can modify. Little baby pulses all the way up to the top. Good. And bring it down. Bringing it up. I'm gonna go to a little bit of what we call supine work, just to finish. The supine is a fancy way of saying laying on your back. We did our sideline work on both sides. I'm gonna turn and lay on my back here. I'm gonna take my feet hips width. Sorry, shorts are never a good idea when you do Pilates, but it's hot. I live in Texas. It's hot. Palms down, shoulder blades together, feet hips width. Take a breath. First things first, I want to feel like I have an orange under my chin. Sometimes our ponytails can get in the way. Orange under the chin, or even a fist. That's going to help the neck position. Have a long spine. Connect to your shoulder blades and your tailbone. Okay, now here's our pubic bone here. Okay, I'm going to curl my pubic bone up. Okay, so I've curled it up and let it back down. Curl it up, let it back down. One more curl, and then hold the next curl and lift your butt in the air until your tailbone is parallel to your shoulder blades. So I don't let my hips come up, okay? I keep them down so they're level with my ribs. Holding on to this position, I'm gonna press out and in on that band. When I do this, nothing moves but my legs. I'm squeezing my butt really hard, or my favorite cue, squeeze your butt cheeks together, because that's literally what you're doing, okay? And I am working away from the midline of my body right now, which would be abduction of the hips, if you care. Totally fine if you don't. If I didn't teach Pilates, I'm not sure if I'd care either. Exhale out, inhale in, last 5, 4, 3, 2, hold the band wide, pulse your butt up an inch, down an inch. Now a pulse of the butt is a squeeze of the muscle, okay? So I don't want to be throwing my back around. I'm looking for my muscles. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, hold it up and breathe. Bring your knees back in, parallel to the hips. Bring it down. Knees to chest. Remove the band. We have survived a band workout. Okay? So again, I kind of went over the different bands. If you do have a latex band and you just did that with me, it might have rolled up. These like to roll up a lot when they're on your thighs. It's not you. Sometimes it's your pants material. It could be our body shape. It could be a lot of things. You can take them back right and get these fabric ones instead. These don't roll, these roll. However, better for your hands, better for legs. You could always get both eventually if you are serious about your mat practice. But again, it's kind of user preference. If I could only afford one, I'd probably go with these first because they're more versatile. So you can use them for arms and legs. And you'll have to stop and unroll it if it's rolling up a lot. It's just a nuisance, but it's okay. It's okay to stop. So that was our side glute, so gluteus medius, and our center glute, gluteus maximus, that we got there with a little hip abduction, opening away from the midline of the body. I do believe we did a little bit of adduction, just a little bit, working toward, but not really. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will hope to, again, get you guys in a few more videos.